and Grant Mueller, of course, for being here to share some really phenomenal things on how his business has grown. Actually had his best year ever this past year. So I know that we're going to learn just some amazing things from him today. Before we get into that, though, I would really love for Paulette to share about David Weekley Homes and what we have available here. And come on up, Paulette.
Sure. Well, we're honored to have you all. It's an incredible bunch to have in our model. How many of you are familiar with David Weekley Homes? Good. We are the largest privately held builder in the United States, and we've stayed private because Mr. Weekley believes in controlling quality. So we've been in business for 42 years. We're from Oregon all the way to Chicago, all through the South. We pretty much dominate all the southern markets. I came up from the Houston division, from the hub of David Weekley, and we build the same across the country. And so what we do, which is different than all the other builders, is we build a big 2x6 construction, but it's not just how solid it is, it's how we actually wrap the home and seal it. So anywhere there's air penetration, we seal. We use a seal gasket from your floorboard to your foundation, all your exterior walls. So it's so tight, it's like vacuum packed, and we have to pipe in fresh air. And then you don't get that little dust film on your hardwood floors. It's a super clean environment. But most importantly, we're the only ones out of all the builders that guarantee our energy efficiency. So we typically base it on the first 2 floors. We never know if there'll be a finished basement. But this big home, 2,550 square feet, we guarantee will not be more than $58 a month for heating. Wow. And when I came up from Houston, I noticed everybody in Colorado, they really like to put all their collateral out on how energy efficient they are, but nobody's willing to back it up. And we have a 3-year guarantee through Environments Resident, a third-party organization. So if your bills are higher than that, you get a call them. They do an audit, and we're responsible. So it's just a super solid home, and also it's it's the experience we want you to have with our staff. We're referral based. I've done quite a bit, some business with Grant, and he is as well. But that's how we build our business. You don't hear us on the radio, you don't see us on the television, but you hear from homeowners based on the experience.
And you also hear from other realtors how transparent and easy you are to work with.
Well, thank you. We're grateful to hear that. And here in Midtown, we've been here for 5 years. This big collection's a Metro collection. We've been open for 2. We're almost sold out. We have 4 homes left. So if you like this model, we've got 4 of them in different locations. Please take a look around when you're done. This one has a walkout. As you can see, it has downtown and mountain views. We have one just like this on the east side. And then we have 2 others. West side. We have 2 others up on the northwest. And then we have one that's move-in ready right now. So I'm going to pass out these flyers for you as well so you can have those. But we do have one that's ready to go, and it's gorgeous, just like this one. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy your grapes.
All right. Thank you, Paulette.
Let me introduce Mehdi. This is Mehdi. He has a restaurant called Euro Crepes down on Broadway.
Ooh.
So if you like them here, they're just as good down there.
Well,
Yeah, it smells delicious. So how many of you guys have ever read the book The Go-Giver? Okay, good number of you. Awesome.
and we're done.
Okay, and then we'll go home now.
It was a while back.
Yes, it's a great book, and for those maybe the half of you that haven't read it yet, we are going to give away 2 copies, autographed copies by the author, right?
Yeah.
So by the author, so that's pretty cool to have. I read this book years ago. I can't really quite remember when. But I think I'm going to read it again. Yes, I read it a little bit, getting ready for the class today, but I want to read the whole thing again. But I love the message of this book. It really is about how in everything that we do in life, that when we come from a place of giving and looking to meet the needs of others and put others' interests above our own, that we really don't have to worry about being successful in our business, it will come to us. And the cool thing, if you've read the book, you probably love it. But what we're going to have the pleasure of hearing today is we're going to hear from Grant Mueller, who is a realtor and also owner of Spaces Real Estate. And he is actually going to share with you how do you put this into practice in a real estate business. Would that be helpful? Because there's some wonderful concepts in this book. But how do you put that into practice? What do you do? And Grant has shifted his business from being more like lead generation and kind of, chasing the next lead and deal to attracting that business to him. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I think it's a great way. It's one of the things, this my business, I'm with the Uphoff team. How many of you guys know Jessica Uphoff? Do some of you guys know her? Quite a few, okay. She is our senior loan officer and branch manager at the Uphoff team. And we're with NFM Lending. And the principles of this book and another book called Raving Fans. Has anyone read that one?
It's great fun.
Okay, not as many of you. Raving Fans, if you want to write that down. If you want to read a couple of books to really get this idea, that's a great one as well. And so we base our business on these principles. We really try to. We try to grow in this every day, every year, as we're making our goals. And I also want you guys to know Juliana Pruitt, which, if you want to wave over here, she is our marketing coordinator at NFM at the Uphoff team. And so she's a great resource too. We're going to be talking today about some different tools, some different ideas, and I'd like for you all to look through your stack of papers and find this survey, if you would. Everybody can take it. Pull that one out and put it on top here for a moment. So this is the tool that we use. This is going to be very, very helpful. So before you leave today, the only thing I ask is for you to hand this in to either Juliana or myself, because as we go through the class, we would like for you to write down if there's something that Grant talks about or I talk about and you're like, I want more information on that, or send me that, please write it on your survey and hand this to us as you leave. And also, we want to know, what did you receive from the class? What was your biggest takeaway? Was this of value to you? We really want your feedback, and so we'd ask that you put it here on the survey, and we're going to be we'll talk about the survey at the end. But we'll go ahead and get started with the class. And again, this is Grant. Grant's worked as actually a referral partner of ours for the past 5-6 years. Him and Jessica are very good friends. I've always respected your friendship with Jessica. And we love working with Grant. We do have the similar ideas in our businesses of really taking care of our clients, and it's just wonderful to partner together.
That's great.
And so I'm looking forward to learning from you today too. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks. And Vonda and I will kind of go back and forth. So as Vonda, as you have ideas, she'll jump in. Can everybody hear from the back? It's okay?
Yes?
All right.
Okay.
So first of all, thank you, Paulette and David Weekly Homes. I had a client that bought, they sold with me on the west side where I live, and they bought this new model when it became available. And there were a lot of people in our neighborhood that bought David Weekly on the west side and then upgraded to this larger model on the east side when they opened up. So that gives you an idea about how much people really enjoy working with David Weekly. We had a really crazy scenario happen when my buyers were buying with a builder, and they took care of my clients like no other builder I've ever seen. So when that happened, I really decided I need to know these builders a little better, and I've been really happy with the way that they take care of their clients. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the crepes. I bet they are awesome. It was good? Good. So 2018 for me was the biggest year I've ever had. And a lot of people that know about the kind of year I had have said, hey, can I take you to lunch and can you tell me in an hour everything you've done over the last 10 years to build a really great real estate business? And it's like, well, take you to lunch for an hour and tell you everything I've done over the last 10 years is kind of hard. But so what I thought about doing is I said to Paulette, what if we brought everybody together at the model and had lunch together and just chatted about what I have been doing. But let's not focus on the last 10 years, but just focus on the last year and make it a little easier for you all. What happened is I began my business in internet lead generation very early on. And over the years, the returns got lower and lower and lower. And in 2018, there were 7.2 leads for every home sold. So that meant every home that sold was 7 leads in 7 different agents' CRMs that they were working on and trying to convert and trying to get on the phone. And so it's become a really, really difficult business. It always has been more difficult in my opinion, but it's become even more difficult to chase down those internet leads. And so several years ago, I thought, well, what if I started to make a shift and build a business based on relationships? Because when I get a phone call that says, hey, Tom and Sarah said you should come over and help me sell my house because you did a great job with them and they won't talk to me if I don't use you. That's a lot better than we're interviewing 7 agents, will you come over at our time, give us your pitch, and we'd like you to sell the house at 1%. So I really thought about how do I build a business based on relationships. You've probably all heard real estate is a relationship business, right? What does that mean to you? How does that look in real life?
Friendships, continuing friendships with
Cool.
these people.
Yeah, friendships are good.
Staying in touch with your clients.
Staying in touch. Yeah.
Past clients.
Yeah. It turns out a lot of agents they know that stuff and they don't do it, right? And so what I tried to focus on was how do I build a little bit of a process for that. But before we talk about the process, which was based on the Go-Giver, I had a big mindset shift. And a lot of that mindset shift happened from the Go-Giver, and a lot of it I can credit to Jessica Uphoff, the lender I work with a lot. So it's kind of a combination, but I went from thinking about lead generation to value generation. So instead of how do I get better GCI, it's how do I add more value to my friends. And what it really meant was that my most important focus at work and at life is how am I going to be with more people face to face and add value. And that's my process at work and at home. So whether it's working on a nonprofit situation or at the business or in real estate, how can I be with more people and what are different ways that I can add value to them? I stopped looking for buyers and sellers. I used to be at a party and I'd meet Juliana and she'd be talking about whatever she was talking about, and all I was thinking was, is there a buyer selling here in the next 6 months? And if I didn't hear any indication of a buyer selling there 6 months, I moved on. That's just the way I thought. I was like a heat-seeking missile. And today it's about, is Juliana somebody that I click with, and do I enjoy her energy and her vibe? And I don't care if we're sisters or realtor. And if we click, then I want to add value to her life. So it really became about, as Vonda said, attracting rather than chasing. And I used to think about myself like a hunter. I'd go out and hunt for a lead, and I'd shoot at it, and I'd shoot at it, and I'd shoot at it. One day I'd hit it, and I'd kill it, and I'd tear it apart, and I'd eat it for dinner. And, that was kind of my whole driven approach to real estate. And now I think about myself like a farmer. And, I think about, what's that? Yes, kinder, gentler. Yeah, and it's way more productive, it turns out. So now I just have, I have an orchard of fruit trees. And all I have to do is water and nurture them, and they bear fruit year after year after year. I will warn you, be careful about what fruit you plant, right? If you don't like grapefruit, then you don't want to build a business and a life with a bunch of grapefruits. So plant a fruit that you love, nurture it, and you don't know when the fruit will ripen, right? That's the truth. You just don't know. But you begin to believe after seeing the evidence year after year that when you take great care of the fruit trees, it does bear fruit. So that's been a real big change for me. Who here, did you say has read the Go-Giver? Okay, so again, it is about 50%. There are 5 laws in the Go-Giver, and Bob Berg calls them the 5 laws of stratospheric success. I like that because I'm not interested in mediocre success. I like the idea of stratospheric success. And the 5 laws really did nothing to change my life or impact me in any way when I read them. I read them, I thought that's really cool, and I moved on. But recently, I've dug a lot deeper to try to figure out, they sound great, and that I know, but how can I really use them in real estate? And I actually went and spent a week with Bob, and there were just 6 of us in the room, 6 or 7 of us, and we dove into these 5 laws pretty deeply. And what I really loved was the learning I got from it, but what was missing for me was, that's great, but how do I apply it in my real estate practice? So I've really been thinking about the go-giver for real estate. So let me dive into the 5 laws. Do you have anything to add so far?
That's great.
Okay. So the first law is the law of value. And the law of value says that your true worth is determined, and by the way, these are, if you don't have them in your packet, if you don't see them, they are in your packet, so you don't need to write them again. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. How much more you give in value than take in payment. And we can apply that immediately to a listing commission, but let me think about it, let me help you think about it in a few different ways. One of the mindset shifts I had is to stop thinking about adding value in the real estate transaction and start thinking about how do we add value in every part of somebody's life. Anytime we're connected with anybody, how do we add value? So there are 3 key ways that you can add value for somebody. One is to share your networks. One is to share your compassion, and one is to share your expertise. So the last one, expertise, is pretty obvious. Somebody calls you and asks you to help them sell a house or help you find a house. You have all the expertise lined up, you've practiced, you've previewed everything in the market, you know the market like the back of your hand, you're ready to go, you're ready to share your expertise. But sharing your expertise can also be, we need a great plumber, you know a great plumber. We don't know where to send the kids for gymnastics, you know where to go for gymnastics. So expertise and sharing expertise can be in many different ways. The more subtle forms of adding value are sharing networks. So let me give you an example of sharing networks. We had a neighbor who reached out. I reached out to him. I saw that the nonprofit he works for was going out of business. It was really sad, and I knew that he was in finance for the nonprofit. And I happened to be on another nonprofit board that's hiring a CFO. So I called him and I said, hey, guess what? I saw you no longer have a job, and we're hiring a CFO. Would you like to apply for it? So you can imagine he was very happy with me. And he went on the interview. It went very well. They offered him the job. They offered him half what he could afford to live on. So he turned it down, and he took a job in Houston. Who do you think he called to help him sell his house when he needed to move to Houston? It was just a natural transition for him. I had no thought in my mind about a listing when I reached out to him. It's just I saw that there was a way for me to add value, and the way was to share my network. I have a client, sharing compassion is another way. And sharing compassion can mean being super sympathetic in a difficult situation. I had a client whose son died in an avalanche accident, which ironically just happened again. But her son was killed in an avalanche accident. And I remember reaching out to her to invite her to lunch to catch up, and she told me this. And my first reaction was to hang up the phone. I mean, that's what I wanted to do, because it's really scary to be a part of that. And I was like, gosh, how do I deal with this client? And we kept the conversation going. I invited her to lunch like I was going to. We went to lunch, and I sat with her, and she cried basically the entire time. But sometimes, and we've become very good friends since, and she's become a really big referral source for me. I sat with her because I cared, and it was the right thing to do, but it was hard. It took some personal growth for me to be able to sit with someone while they cried. But sharing that compassion added a lot of value for her. One more example would be sharing compassion is by being nice, by being kind. So I have a rule that anytime I think about somebody, and it's usually in the car, so I have to wait till the light, but I'll text them or call them and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. And sometimes it's, I was just thinking about you, oh my gosh, we need to get together for lunch. We haven't caught up forever. Sometimes it's, I was just thinking about you, how's the house? Sometimes it's, I was just thinking about you, and that's it. But who here doesn't feel great when you get a message that says that somebody was thinking about you and somebody cares? So it's just another way to add value.
And how nice to not get that on Facebook.
To not get on Facebook. So I do try, some people, and let's talk about that real quick. It's a great question, comment. So everybody has a different way of communicating. I have clients who I've gone all the way through to contract time, and realize, oh my gosh, I don't even know your email address or your phone number, because we've been talking this entire time on Facebook Messenger. And sometimes it's just some people are text and some people are email. So I think our job is to meet people where they're comfortable. I don't think it's about us, I think it's about them. And I do think when we can reach outside of social media, it means a whole lot more. You know, a lot of times, Laura here, I think Laura and I were talking yesterday about, you know, I like to try to find things that are happening on social media and then take it off social media. So I had a client whose dog got bit by another dog. So my dogs sent their dog a card, you know, and said, hey, I'm really sorry that bitch bit you. Literally. And, and my dogs, you know, signed it. And, you know, it's just a way to show that we care. And Vonda, you can talk about that because you guys do that a lot.
Yes, you know, just, you know, when you're thinking about this whole mindset, I think it is something, you know, I really feel like that I'm that way and that I really care about people, but it's so easy as a salesperson and a business person because I remember earlier in my career, just, you know, you're focused on sales because, you know, you need to eat, you need to make money, right? And you're, so you get so focused on that you can forget about, you know, that is a person, just like the example, you know, with meeting somebody at a party, you know, finding out if they're a client or not. And really instead seeing that person as a person and getting to know them. And then if they are a client, it will happen naturally. But, you know, this idea, one of the things that Juliana does this a lot with our team too, but we have a system, an online greeting card system that I've used for over 10 years. And so we'll just look through Facebook and look for life events, you know, actually whether good or bad, you know, if it's something like the dog got bit or maybe a health issue or a loss, you know, or if it's a celebration, they just got engaged or, you know, they just had their first grandbaby or, you know, different things that are happening in their life, they put it on social media, right? And so the system that we use, we actually have a couple of different ones. So if you're interested in this, write it on your survey and I can direct you based on your volume, which one would be best for you. But we'll take a picture from Facebook, put it on the front of the card, maybe it's them getting engaged, and just write a heartfelt congratulations and send it to our client. We want to celebrate life. So when we're talking about this, when you think about instead of lead generation, actually building relationships, and one of the best ways I've heard is, you know, how would you treat your best friend, your circle of friends? You know, you celebrate life, you remember their birthday, you know, maybe you go out and celebrate their birthday, you know, so maybe you send them a gift for their birthday, maybe you congratulate them on their anniversary, you know, so you think about 100, you know, people in your clients, instead of having like 2,000 in your database, you think about, and I know we're going to get on this on the next point, but you think about how can I be in relationship with those people and build a friendship that will last a lifetime. And so that's one of the things that we do. We love celebrating. We also use that same system for holidays. We'll usually pick like 6 holidays for the year. And we have a professional photographer come in at the beginning of the year, and we have costumes for the different holidays. Sometimes we'll pick like off the wall type of holidays like National Hot Dog Day or whatever, and we'll take pictures and we'll have them take pictures of us all in like an hour, and then we'll put those on the front of the card and send them throughout the year at those different times through the year. And I get so many comments from people, you know, laughing because we like to have a lot of fun with Chris Nelson. If you know Chris Nelson in our office, we always like to have him do something funny on every picture. And so, yeah, it just keeps us more connected and helps our clients think of us as people, you know, and friends. So.
And I would say the golden hour of adding value is right after you cash the commission check. So as soon as you go to the bank, start thinking about how you can add value in their lives. So I like to do a 7-day call, which is sharing my compassion and my expertise by saying, if they bought, you know, 7 days later, how's the house? And there's almost always something that comes up. You know, we can't find the mailbox key. Yeah, there seems to be a flood in the basement. Who knows? God forbid. But you get a wide range of things that come up that you would have never known about if you hadn't called. And then you get to implement your expertise and share that with them, or share a connection with them, and get them involved in the solution, but kind of being part of the solution yourself. But they know that you just got paid. People notice. And you have to think about the fact that you've spent week after week with them in houses. You've built a relationship. And so I really make a point of training my clients up front that they're going to hear from me again. I talk about the closing dinner that we're going to have. I talk about the fact that they're going to be invited to client appreciation events. And I really set the tone up front. But it's kind of sad, because a lot of times people close in a house and then there's just crickets. And quite frankly, I can think back when I have my systems in place, I'll be inviting somebody to a client appreciation event, and I'll realize I got too busy and I didn't make that 7-day call, and I didn't make any other call, and they haven't heard from me. So thank goodness I have a holiday card. I just did my New Year's cards, or I have an event to invite them to. So part of the good process is building something in that's regular, so that when you do get busy and successful, and you will if you do this, that you have a stopgap, so that you're always reaching out to people. So the second law is the law of compensation. And the law of compensation says your income is determined by how many people you meet and how well you serve them. And so the law of value says here's the potential value, but the law of income says, all right, that's great, but how do we turn that into something that's actually meaningful? And if you think about it, it's very easy to say, well, yes, of course, the more people I close transactions with, the more money I make. But when you step beyond that literal interpretation and start thinking about your community of people, I call it a community, some people call it a sphere or a database, but when you think about your community of people, and you think about how many people you have in it, I bet you if you told me how many people you have in your community and how in touch with them you are, I could guess pretty closely what your income looks like. So the way that you grow your income is simply to grow your community. It doesn't help to grow the people in your database if you're treating them like leads and like people in your database. But when you treat them like people you want to add value to, it starts to increase your income. So that was one of my big ahas from this year. The other thing I think about when I think about the community or the sphere is now that I'm no longer worried about who's buying or selling, or who has a lot of money, or who lives in a $3 million house and needs to sell it one day, now I'm thinking about who do I click with? Who do I like spending time with? And what that means is when I go through my action plan every month and I decide who I need to have lunch with, or who I need to see, or who I need to invite to an event, I'm looking at a list of people I'm excited to engage with. So now I've built the life that I really want, because it doesn't feel like work. So I can look at my calendar and it is jam-packed with people and events, and I can show you guys. And they're highlighted in green because it's my money time. So I'm with people all the time, but now I get to be with people I actually know, like, and I trust. So I'm not focused on whether they know, like, and trust me. I'm focused on I know, like, and trust them, and I want to invest in them. So it makes a great life. And then it's just about expanding that. It's an upward spiral, because as you build your community and add number to that community, you also add value to the community. Because now, I had a friend recently who said to me, she has rheumatoid arthritis. She has RA. And I was able to say, all right, sorry to hear that. Tell me where you're at. What are you trying to figure out right now? And she said, well, I'm really trying to work on my diet. And I was able to say, cool. Well, I've got 3 people in my community, not cool, but I've got 3 people in my community that have RA. And this lady has just figured out a lectin-free diet that has almost completely eradicated her RA. So why don't I introduce you to her? And by the way, the person who found the lectin-free diet, she found that diet because I gave her the book about that diet, just by chance. It was just kind of cool. So it all starts to work together. And none of that's about real estate, it's just about adding value in people's lives. Everybody knows I'm driven, everybody knows I'm a realtor. I don't need to start with that up front. I'm okay with success and selling houses, and I don't make that a secret. And I don't try to be friends with people that I don't want to be friends with. I can add value. In fact, the person I referred, I'm not friends with that person. I just add value in her life. We get along, we have lunch, I send her lots of referrals, but it's more of a business relationship. So this isn't also about being a pretend friend. It's just about allowing the relationship to be organic and natural and evolve to where it should be. I'm trying to keep moving here, so I don't want to go on and on with my stories. Go ahead, yeah.
For us, working as a lender with the lending team, we see in our business, our primary client is you. And the way that Jessica has really built her team is really by looking for realtors who want to partner. Our goal is when we're working with a realtor is to look for ways. We'll sit down, have coffee, and find out, what is your pain? What is it you're wanting to grow in? Jessica's been professionally coached for many years, and so there are classes that we put on, that she's passing on, and I'm passing on things that we're learning from our coaching. So that's one of the things that we look to do with our realtor partners is how can we grow your business? And our business, Jessica's business has grown to, she does about $80 million a year in business, and she's really based that on building relationships. So it's not, buying leads, but building relationships. And that is, it's enjoyable, right? It's more fun. And then you also do, and we realize too that we're not going to be partners with every realtor. Like, we know that. We know there are other lenders in the world. But we're looking for those relationships where it's like where we click and where we trust one another and we're honest and we have the open communication. And so even putting on the event today, like one of the things that I've learned how to do in my experience is how to put on events. And so as you can see, so what's really cool, so this is kind of a neat story, but Grant has a relationship with Paulette, with David Weekly Homes, right? And they're building that relationship, deepening that relationship, and Grant has this idea of like, what does Paulette want? She wants more realtors to know about David Weekly Homes. So Grant calls, I don't know if he called Jessica or me first, but he calls our team and says, hey, I have an idea. Would you be able to help me, get a bunch of realtors to David Weekly Homes? And we're like, sure, that's what Juliana and I do. So we have a system in place. So one, if you are looking at putting on events, and we're going to talk more about this here in a moment, but when you're putting on events, have you ever put on an event? Has anybody ever put on an event and no one showed up or two people showed up? I have. So it took me some time to learn there are certain things that we do, right, Juliana, that we can guarantee that we will have a successful event. So if that's something that you want help with in your business, let me know. I'd be happy to have a phone call and let you know